Right, just a general sort of catch-up video this week really. As I said on Wednesday, things had got a bit out of hand in the garage, and I'll come on to that in a moment or two. First of all, I would just like to let you know that I've been running this channel now for 2 years non-stop. I've never missed a week in those 2 years, and for the last just over a year I've been publishing 2 videos a week, so it's more or less become a full-time job. And throughout those 2 years I've not had any time off. Now I know people are going to tell me not to worry about it, but the thing is, when you're running one of these YouTube channels, you feel like you've got to keep the momentum up all the time. You like to sort of, if you like, keep your promises, so you just keep plugging those videos out week after week after week, and you put your own personal life on back burner. I've now reached a point where I am actually quite tired and fatigued. So what I've decided to do is, just over the Christmas period for a week and a half, I'm going to take some time off, so there won't be any videos being published. Now, Christmas and New Year is a time when you're all going to be wanting to spend time with your families and catching up with extended family and playing with your toys. So I figured this was probably the best time to do it. I've not decided fully on the dates yet, but next week everything will run as usual, and at the end of next week I'll let you know when the next video is going to be. Right, getting back to that garage. Now, I don't have any real storage in there to speak of. Basically, I've just got an old cupboard that came out of the house years ago that is now full. I've got a very small shelving unit, again, which came out of the house years ago, which is now full. And I've got a rather rickety workbench, which has never really lived up to its expectations, and besides which, it is now full. I've had several sort of move-arounds and reorganisations of the garage over the last couple of years. First to accommodate the T100 for the Payday Project series, and then I had to have another reorganisation when the bobber arrived. Now, as you can appreciate, I'm accruing quite a lot of tools and surplus items. You know, every time you take a mudguard or a part off a bike, you've got to store it somewhere. I've been told by the powers that be that I'm not allowed to store any more stuff in the house, so stuff has just been building up in the garage. And basically the only place I can store stuff is on the floor against the walls, and what tends to happen is it reaches a certain height and then it starts spilling over onto the floor. Now ideally I need a bigger garage come studio, but there's no way I can make that happen, so I have to reorganise the interior of the garage, and that's what I've been doing this week. I'm gradually sorting through everything, packing stuff up and identifying what needs to be thrown out. Now, I had a word with a company called Tufferman's last week. I gave them some measurements and they identified some products that they thought would work for me in the situation that I've got. And lo and behold, on Wednesday a van arrived and delivered everything, obviously in kit form. Now basically what I intend doing is racking the entire back wall of the garage out and about 2/3 of one of the side walls, which should allow me to get everything up off the floor, everything properly organised, a place for everything and everything in its place, which will just permanently declutter the garage and give me a space that I can work in properly. Now, I did a little bit of filming on the first day when I first got started. It's going to be an ongoing job throughout the rest of this week, bearing in mind that I'm editing this video on Thursday, and hopefully, fingers crossed, during the course of the weekend I'll have got to a stage where I can get all that racking in, get it up and get everything organised so everything is ready to run next week. And hopefully in next Wednesday's video I can give you the full tour of what I've done, plus a review on some of these products, because I know from comments that I've already received from people that people are interested in what I'm actually using, because I'm not the only person in the world that's got this problem. And finally, before I go back into the garage and get my nose back on that grindstone, the T120 hasn't been running quite right. I can't put my finger on exactly when it started happening, but just gradually over the last few weeks, fuel consumption's gone up and tick over seems quite uneven compared to how it used to be. Now, there's a number of things this could be, and I do intend getting some diagnostics equipment in the new year to use in the ongoing maintenance of all three bikes. But the most likely cause that occurred to me and was suggested to me by others is that it could be dirt build-up in the fuel injection system. Now the problem isn't a huge one, it is only slight, but it is noticeable. And I have noticed this year, as the weather's cooled off, that cold starting can be quite problematic, which is something I've never come across before with this bike. Now I did some research online and trawled through the various forums, especially the Triumph forums, and various products were mentioned, but one that kept coming up was Pro FST. Now once again, unsurprisingly, this is a Silcoline product. So I've got my hands on some, I've filled the bike up again today and I've treated it. It's a fuel additive which Silcoline say will clean your fuel system, whether it be carbureted or injected. It improves cold starting, stops carb icing in cold weather if you've got one of the old carbureted bikes, and it reduces engine wear on cold startup. So I'm presuming that this must be also some sort of upper cylinder lubricant. Now I have written to Silcoline for some details on it, and I'd hoped that I would get some answers back before I published this video, but unfortunately it didn't quite work out. I intend using this Pro FST long term and testing it out to see whether it is snake oil or whether it does actually make a difference to the running of the bike. I mean, we do consider petrol to be a very refined and clean product nowadays, but it is actually far from it, and legislation changes around the world mean that there are other chemicals being put into petrol that didn't used to be in petrol, which can cause carb and injection system fouling. So keep your eyes peeled for updates on this one, and we'll see whether this is a worthwhile product or whether it's just snake oil. Right, so once again, thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video and that you've found it useful. As usual, if you have enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I'll be back on Wednesday and hopefully we've got that garage sorted out. So until then, please ride safely and I'll see you soon.